Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metsa. We have a couple of the Twin Cities legends on tonight, two great musicians that have been playing in a band called Boiled and Lead since 1983. Boiled and Lead is the longest-running Celtic punk band in America. We're glad to have them part of the Twin Cities music scene for 4 decades. Man, they're an important part of the foundation of what became the Minnesota punk rock scene. Bob Mould of Husker Du was among those who praised the band's first self-released LP, and he said, even the fiddles rock. And the Huskers invited the band to play an early show at Goofy's Upper Deck. And today, the band star is still rising on the wall at First Avenue. They've got a great new record out called King of the Dogwoods. We're going to be listening to the title track off there and more. But with no further ado, I'd like to introduce two of the main guys from Boiled and Lead, who I'm honored to say are both old friends of mine. Drew Miller, bass player, and guitarist Todd Menton. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Howdy, good evening.
Or just gentlemen, I guess. So how many records have you guys put out?
According to that press release, this is number 12.
Wow.
There's a couple things that were only on cassette, but that counts, I guess.
So, you're talking about, I used to buy cars only if they had a cassette player in them.
Yep.
Tell us, how did Boiled and Lead get together?
Well, Boiled and Lead's my first band. I found out about this music when I was in high school and bought a bright red Hagstrom bass when I was taking a year off from college, and started going to Irish music sessions with the worst amplifier in the world and not really knowing what I was doing, but nobody threw things at me. So,
how'd you hook up with Todd?
Well, I had heard about an Irish session at a hole in the wall on Lake Street through a friend of mine, Mick Wright. And he said, come on down, we have a little session. And so I stepped in there, and this was 80, I don't know, I'm not sure. I think this might have been like 82, early 80, something like 83, 84, something like that. And there was Drew with his red bass and played the session, and I don't know if we really spoke about it afterwards, but a few years later, Drew invited me to join.
What was the hole in the wall on Lake Street? I played a few of those over the years.
It is now, it's at the bottom of the ramp, the 35W. No, it's not the ramp. It's like literally right under the overpass there. It had a boot for a while. I don't remember what it was called.
I lived above that. I lived above that bar for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was, if you go to if you're driving west on Lake Street and you get to the overpass, the 35W overpass to your left, the corner of the building there used to be a bar. I don't remember what it was called.
It was kind of right by Kmart, right?
No, it was on the other side of 35 from Kmart. Yeah. And it's just down the block from what is now a Taco Bell. And it was a dinky little place, and I was a little bit alarmed when I walked in, but there was Mick, and he was bashing away, and Drew was playing, and I don't remember who else was there. There may actually have been a couple other gangsters from the Irish scene, but I don't remember who they were. Again, this is a long time ago.
I did my first, I wouldn't call it a bona fide performance, but I sat in at that bar. And so I know exactly where it is and what you're talking about. Do you remember the name of it, Drew?
Well, at the time, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm attempting to find the answer by asking the Oracle, which is Google.
All I know is that it changed to something with the rodeo or something like that, because the sign outside had a boot, but before that it was something else.
Yeah, it was always a 3-2 place. Actually, I lived above that bar for a while, There was a big picture window, but we kept the curtain closed because all you could see was cars going by.
Well, that was, there was a handful of 3-2 bars along Lake Street. I used to play Sunday nights at a place called Lucky Walker's, which was a little closer to Lindale. But I'm familiar with the Lake Street Dive scene, and now there's a band called Lake Street Dive.
Was Fernando's 3-2, or did you?
Fernando's was, yes, and that was right by Bloomington.
Yeah, that was farther down. According to Google, there's you'll like this, Todd. Monkey Tattoos is in that location now.
Okay, I'm with you.
Oh yeah, I played Fernando's as well.
We did too.
South Minneapolis guy for years. So tell us about this legendary Goofy's Upper Deck gig. I went there once, but that was really, man, that was a cauldron of punk rock.
Oh yeah,
in Minneapolis.
Well, I knew Fred Gartner, the late Fred Gartner, who put that place together.
Did Fred pass away?
What?
Did Fred pass away?
Oh, many years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Many years ago, 10 years ago, maybe.
Rest in peace.
Yep. He had a good run. So I would DJ there. I even produced a show by the Irish band Touchstone there on the day before Paddy's Day. That was crazy. Didn't lose too much money. The Blood and Lead played its first gig at Goofy's Upper Deck on March 17, 1983. 8 out of 12 bands, and that later show with Husker Du and Otto's Chemical Lounge and us. The flyer had, I still have the flyer around somewhere. I've got an image of it. Lots of flowers, and it said along the edges, "Acid is groovy, kill the pigs, and bring the whole commune."
Tell folks exactly what that was. A second floor bar, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. There's a really good documentary piece that David Roth made for Twin Cities PBS about that scene. It was a classic. The Upper Deck was the first place to do all ages shows, and it really did a wide variety of music. It actually kind of forced First Avenue to start doing all ages shows, and always a cultural battle between Dan Kotlow, who was the owner of the strip club down below, and all those dirty punk rockers upstairs.
Dan Kotlow, God, that's a legendary Minneapolis music name for sure. So what was the configuration? How many guys in the band at that time?
Well, that was just me. That was me and Jane Dauphin, David Stenchel on violin, Brian Fox also on violin, and so me, Mitch, Dave, Jane, and Jane Dauphin on guitar. Did I get all five? I think I did.
You didn't say Mitch Griffin's name, but you mentioned
Mitch Griffin on the drums.
Mitch, yeah.
And Mitch, of course, held forth as a clerk at Orfolk Josephus Records for years. And then I'm not sure if he went over to when Terry Katzman started the record store over on 26th and Nicollet.
I don't think he did. He's been doing a lot of sound for sports events all around the country. And he also has revived his original band called the Tulsa Jacks, and they have a couple new records out.
Yeah, he was a Tulsa guy.
Yep.
Very cool. Let's talk a little bit about a man we all loved, probably one of the finest fiddle players in the Twin Cities, David Stenchel, who we lost a few years ago. Tell us a little bit about how good he was.
Dave could play anything, and if you could pin down what kind of player he was, his main thing was improv. He could play anything. He was interested in all kinds of violin music, and but his biggest strength was just taking it outside, taking whatever he played. Famously, his style on traditional Irish music was unique. There was it was crazy. I've literally tried to describe his style and his phrasing to the people I work with at the Center for Irish Music. I'm an instructor at the center at Celtic Junction in St. Paul, and they all know Dave. They've all heard him, and they know when and they basically saying, "What's up with Dave?" He's just Dave. Insane angular phrasing, but then fairly early on after I joined, he started playing with ethnic dance theater. And so he just absorbed like a sponge all these Balkan tunes and Eastern European tunes and Greek, Macedonian, Russian, Turkish. He was a complete Renaissance player. Anything that came his way, very, very well versed in. Who were the radio? I guess we call that like Bob Wills style.
Yeah, twin fiddle, Radio Rangers, Bob Wills style, and Bob free Wills jazz style. And
free jazz, everything.
He was omniversal.
That's right.
I'd see him a lot on the West Bank. Back in the day at the New Riverside and the 400 and Palmer's, and very wide-ranging taste and styles. Well, we miss him a lot. Which brings me to the question: how many folks have been in Boiled and Led over the years?
I have to go to Wikipedia and count.
In the general vicinity of 10, 11.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's what
Don't quote me.
Yeah. Now, Todd, where did you get interested in Irish music?
It was I'm not 100% sure where I first heard it, but when I was a kid, I got addicted right away. Well, I started out listening, my main folky, whatever, my introduction to folky was Leo Kottke and John Fahey and that whole style. Like I really immersed myself in that, but that led me to English folk song and dance. And I was good friends with some people around the scene here, part of the Minnesota Morris dancers, the traditional dance and English. Through that, I got to know some Irish players and started playing Irish music. Just became something that I was extremely interested in. Wormed my way into the Renaissance Festival so I could sit on hay bales and play it and learn how to play it. I was in a play in junior college where the director said, "I want you to go go buy a tin whistle. I'll pay out of the slush fund. Go buy a tin whistle and go borrow a bar-on from somebody." I went, "What?" And excuse me, what do we call it? Say that again. And so I made some calls, and a gentleman no longer with us named Kevin Klein graciously lent me his bar-on for this show. And after that, it was center of my universe. That's all I could think about and all I did.
I want to just follow up on that before we hear the title track of King of the Dogwoods, the new Boiled and Led disc. Tell people, I get people streaming all over the world listening to the show. Tell people out there how great the Twin Cities folk scene is. And I'm talking Irish and, bluegrass and the rest.
I just got to immediately plug the Celtic Junction where I work, and founded by an original member of Riverdance, Cormac O'Shea, and his wife, Natalie Nugent O'Shea. There's no place like it in the mid. You'd have to go to Chicago, New York, Philadelphia to find a place like that. There's the school, Center for Irish Music, where I teach. There is O'Shea Irish Dance. There's the Ewan McKiernan Library of Irish Literature and Music. Irish Fair Minnesota has their offices there. But then this is an extremely thriving English traditional music scene here with the more. There's I think there's more Morris teams, more Morris sides here than there are in any other metro area in the United States, and they all know what they're doing. They go to England frequently. Those are the zones I'm familiar with. I mean, I did a lot of shopping at Homestead Pick and Parlor, but but I can't say I'm any part of that scene really. But just Homestead Pick and Parlor, sadly now closed. But that whole scene there, the people encouraging and promoting bluegrass and old timey music and it's a place where you could walk in and say, "What's the difference between bluegrass and old timey?" And they would tell you. They would tell you at length.
Well, God bless Marvin Menzel, who ran that for years.
Yep.
Actually,
Marvin Don.
Hibbing native, I believe he graduated with Bob Dylan in 59 at Hibbing High School. I used to, when I go to pick strings or, shop guitars or get music books, I'd love to go in there on Saturdays when they had their jam session.
Oh, yeah. Those were huge.
It was very cool. Drew Miller, introduce the title track to the new Boiled and Lead record, King of the Dogwoods. Tell us about this track in particular, and then we'll talk more about the whole record as the show goes on.
Well, I'll bounce that one over to Todd since he wrote it.
Paul, now maybe would you understand me when if I mention the Townes Van Zandt theory of how songs get written? You understand what he said about that?
It's either the Star Spangled Banner or Zippity Doo Dah.
It's my understand. He once described it as, the songs are there and they're fully formed, and then they just land on you and you manifest them. This one, King of the Dogwoods, I suppose you'd say that if there's a genre to it, it's the Boiled and Lead genre. It's just a weird compilation of different images. The first verse is from my childhood. The second couple verses are from my home life now, but not really. And we took 3 or 4 tries at getting it to sound the way it sounds now. It settled upon the way it's arranged now, and once a song gets tossed out into the Boiled and Lead maelstrom, it comes out. It takes on different forms, and this is the form it took.
We're going to listen to King of the Dogwoods. We have Todd Menton and Drew Miller on for the whole show on the Wall of Power Radio Hour. And don't forget, you want to hear this stuff live? Go to the Parkway Theater, one of the coolest theaters in the Twin Cities, coming up on 3/21. We'll talk more about the show. They've got another show coming up at St. Croix Falls on April 12th. In the meantime, here's King of the Dogwoods title track off the new Boiled and Lead record.
He held a note up in the picture window. The note said monsters behind the glass, but something singing down in the lilacs made the real monster movies come to pass. Candy Ojai, Egan Township, in Buster's Alley, it's almost May. All hail the King of the Dogwoods, long flown away.
Are back with the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metsa. I'm so enjoying my conversation with a couple of old buddies of mine, Todd Menton and Drew Miller from the band Boiled and Lead. 11 or 12 records later, they've got a new one out called King of the Dogwoods. Tell us again, you got 2 shows coming up, Drew. Where are they?
Yeah, the big one's going to be at the Parkway Theater in Minneapolis on Saturday the 21st. We'll also be at the Auditorium in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin, on Sunday, April 12th.
Now, what is the lineup in this iteration in 2026 of Boiled and Lead?
Well, it's Todd and I. Our drummer is a man named Morris Engel. Mo and I got together playing in my rockabilly band, Kinda Fonda Wanda. And
I remember that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So Wanda's playing down at Tremendous Brewing in St. Peter on Friday. So I'll be hitting the road tomorrow for a little road trip. Morris and I were both sitting in with Al Cibola in an iteration of the Bad Companions. We were backup companions. And it's rockabilly, so there's lots of stops and starts. And there was a moment where I knew a stop was coming, and I wasn't sure if Morris did. I gave him that significant look, and I saw the drumstick stop midway on its way to the snare. And I'm going, Oh yeah, we got that drummer bass player telepathy thing going.
Cool.
And then after we, as we were starting to figure out what the heck do we do after losing David Stenchel back in 2021, I asked him if he was up for playing, music in 15 and Irish stuff and, things that he had no prior experience with. But the man's got a great set of ears and really creative playing. Plus, he's a lot of fun to work with. So that's how Morris got in.
Well, and let's shout out to Al Cibola, wonderful rockabilly guitar player in town.
Indeed, yeah, he's a great human being too. Happy to be playing with him.
Now, Drew, when did you get interested and excited about listening to and playing Irish music?
That was from listening to records back in high school. The Smithsonian had the Folklife Festival on the Mall in D.C., where I grew up, and Rounder Records had a booth with import records for $5. So I brought a backpack and filled it up, and started listening to that music and diving deep and really loving it.
How long did you live in D.C. for?
Until I came to Minnesota to go to school, which was fall of 1976.
Okay. Well, D.C. has, of course, an incredible music scene. Were you ever old enough to get to the cellar door?
I went to the cellar door a couple times with my dad. I remember seeing a folky show. I think I also saw a great prog band called Happy the Man there. My best D.C. music memory was when I bounced back home on a year off from college. There was a bar near Union Station, and upstairs was Irish music, and downstairs were the Teen Idols, which was a hardcore band pre-Minor Threat. I think I was the only guy who went both upstairs and downstairs and enjoyed both of those scenes.
Tell us a little bit about both you guys. Some of your favorite shows that Boiled and Lead have done with other bands, either as an opener or a co-headliner or whatever. Because you guys, you've got a great performance history.
Oof. I'd have to think a minute.
Well, I remember playing the Winnipeg Folk Festival was really key to the band's success. The first time we played our Bulgarian medley, Chopetsky Kopanica, there, I've been told I was paying attention to the music, but I've been told we got 7 standing ovations.
Wow.
during that tune, and we came out of it with a record deal in England. I think the most memorable one, aside from the fans body surfing in the puddles of mud, was a massive drum jam. I had a wireless at that time, and I needed it because there was no room for me on stage.
I can
there
see
were
it now.
27 drummers on that stage.
Wow. I never made it to the Winnipeg Folk Festival, but there's a great story. Todd, I'm sure you're familiar with the late, great Jeff Cahill.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So Jeff's up there playing, and there was a time when Dave Snaker Ray sold insurance, took over his dad's insurance company, shared a building with the great Steve Tibbetts, where Steve had his studio. There's a jam session after the Winnipeg Folk Festival. People are playing guitar around a fire, and some guy's singing blues. And Cahill, who of course was insured by the great Dave Snaker Ray, yelled across the fire, "My insurance man can play better blues than that." And we lost both those guys. Now, Todd, what are some performances you remember?
Well, sticking with the Winnipeg theme, we did you get up there and you're doing your show, but the name of the game is the workshops during the day. Where don't get me wrong, the main stage shows and the performances are awesome, but it's just one. You can walk from one life-changing concert to another, in the form of workshops. And we did, there's a couple of things. One of the things that the band did was we had, we were on a jag, listening to and really appreciating and being driven insane by a fantastic out there guitar player, Eugene Chadbourne.
Oh yeah.
Drew, do you remember what was his band?
Oh yeah. He's had Camper Van Beethoven that he's done collaborations with.
Right.
Eugene, but Eugene's pretty much himself. He has lots of different collaborators.
Well, we had a workshop, and I don't even remember what the workshop was supposed to be. And we asked him, "Will you come along and play?"
Wow!
And he said, "Sure." And this is after he and I and his kids had stood in the line for snacks. And so we got the yakking. And he's just dad. The kids are running off. Dad, we're just going to go over there for a minute. He looks at me, goes, "You know what that's about? Sugar cubes." They found the sugar cubes at the coffee station. They're going to be all jacked up. So we asked him to play, and I think we just played our stuff, and we looked over, and he was sitting on a chair with his daughter on his lap, playing with a balloon animal, and Eugene just blasting away, and absolutely.
Well, for those people out there and there to listen to the show, Eugene Chadbourne is a improvisational, very experimental guitar player. He put out a record that I still have that I will never sell, I forget the name of it, but it's all country western tunes. And it starts
LSD-C&W?
It could be. But he starts out, it sounds like he's actually going to play like You're Cheating Hard or something. And that just goes into this complete Chadbourne madness. I knew a guy that saw Eugene at a club years ago in Phoenix. And he was a big Chadbourne fan, and he walked in just when Eugene had his guitar plugged into his amp. Beautiful. There we go. And Eugene had just started to saw the neck of his guitar off. Yeah, there we go.
That one's called The President, He Is Insane.
And he walked in just as Eugene was sawing the neck of his guitar off with incredible feedback, just as the bar owner came up and fired him. But I'm a big fan of that kind of weirdness.
Those moments of just losing your mind. I remember we did have, at one point when we were between actual and permanent drummers, we had a fella come along and play a couple sets, and he sat in with us I don't remember his name. Excellent drummer, and he sat in and played a show at the 400 bar with us. And his comment afterwards was he was just kind of stunned. He did great, he hung on. He was a little stunned, and he said, "I'll say one thing: you guys know how to jump off a cliff." and back those we kind of stay a couple good feet back from the edge of the cliff anymore, but we can still kick a few pebbles down into the canyon when we need to. All right.
Yeah, well, that was more after we did a couple shows, kind of incognito, just to see what things were like with Morris Engel, and his first comment after the first one was, "Oh, you guys improvise a lot, don't you?"
Kind of the name of the game, though. When Drew, what was your when you started to play? Did you have any stage fright or at all? You're a bass player. You really haven't. It's all new to you. So, what was it like?
I'm most nervous when I'm not there, not plugged in, not set up, and making noise yet. Making sure all those steps happen, and I'm where I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to be. I guess the times I was most nervous was when the band was only playing a couple shows a year, and I'm not one for sitting around and practice. Music is a collective thing for me. So it was really scary to be on stage at First Avenue, not being rusty. So,
yeah.
So thus got involved with the band Felonious Bosch about 2004, and also playing with Kind of Fonda Wanda these days, which has taught me a lot.
I've played First Avenue, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, but tell people, either one, Todd or Todd Menton or Drew Miller, I will never forget what it's like. Now, number one, Conrad, the late great Conrad Sverkson, was the world's greatest stage manager.
Absolutely.
And he treated everybody, whether you're Lemmy from Motorhead or Paul Metsa from the Iron Range, treated everybody equally. And but to stand in front, to be on that stage and wait as the curtain goes up, for me, it felt like I was on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my very first show with the band was main stage, and I don't remember who we were opening for. I think it was Battlefield Band, maybe. Was that right? Does that sound right?
I don't remember.
Something like that. It was one of those, Battlefield or one of the other, loud screaming bagpipe bands. And it came out, and now I have a background in theater. I used to act in plays, and so I understand the audience. I understand curtain going up. I understand lights coming up, go. But this was quite different. It is an extremely different vibe, and I guess there's no way to really describe it. You're on the spot, and then the adrenaline kicks in, and there's nothing to do but hit the instrument and see what the hell comes out.
And it's such a great honor to be on that stage.
Yeah,
100%. We also should mention our other new member, Haley Olson, on the violin.
Yeah, mention her. How'd she get in the band?
She got in the band through me. Speaking of the Center for Irish Music, I met her there when she was a student, and she was a brilliant traditional Irish player. There's no question about how good she was. That anyone with ears on their head could tell that she knew what she was doing. And then over the years, we kind of kept in touch. When she left first of all, I knew she was also versed in Middle Eastern music because she was playing with a belly dance troupe here in the cities. I was aware of that. I'd seen her do that. And then she moved to Tennessee, and she was part of a loud, skronky, unpredictable, I'll say it loud again, jam-tastic, sort of country, I don't know what you call, kind of a country jam band. So when we started thinking about a violin player, I thought, well, who has ticked off all the various boxes that we're going to throw at a player? Who can stand there and go, okay, A, this is stupid loud. B, these other guys just dropped the ball. Now what do I do? That and switch from style to style to style. And then asked her to come and play, and she did, and she sounded fantastic. Then out of nowhere, I had no concept, she sent along a vocal track to one of the songs that we had jammed on. And she's a genius singer as well. Unique vocalist. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the one. It's stunning. It just, and full of surprises. Every time she plays, something new happens that where did that come from? It's delightful. Haley Olson.
Wow. And let's mention it again, the record release show for Boiled and Lead for King of the Dogwoods, right around the corner next week on January, February, March 21st. Say, Drew, before I'd like you to introduce this next song. But, I lived in South Minneapolis on Ridgewood Avenue, moved in 1978. And like Bob Stinson used to say, he said, all the great bands in Minneapolis are between Lake Street and Franklin and Hennepin and Lyndale. And although I was a folk and blues guy and spent a lot of time on the West Bank and around, I used to party with all the punk rockers, and I just loved the scene. I was good buddies with, Bob Stinson was a good guitar store buddy and record store buddy, and I was good friends with Perner and the rest. And I loved them all. But I love the energy. I didn't play that music. I love the energy. Talk about the punk scene in the 80s in Minneapolis, and then introduce the next Boiled and Lead song we're going to hear.
Which one is it?
You tell me.
Okay. So, punk rock. Well, I think that, the name of the band, Boiled and Lead, comes from a traditional Irish ballad called The Two Sisters. And that's what happens to the bad one at the end of the song. So for a band in that scene playing rock and roll versions of traditional music primarily. I mean, I'm not a songwriter, but there's lots and lots of dark songs and ballads, as well as of course the dance music from all over the world. So on our second album, Hotheads, which was the first one that Todd did, that came out on Willie Murphy's label, Atomic Theory, which was had a hookup with Twin Tone at the time. There's a song called the Gypsy Rover. Todd, what does the Gypsy Rover mean to you, and why did we do this to it?
We were putting together Boiled and Led with me in it, and what can I bring to it? And so there's a few ballads that we rocked out. There was a whole bunch of jigs and reels and the Morris dance tunes, as I was talking about earlier. A couple other English country dance songs, things like that. And they said, "Look, we want to take an old classic and destroy it. What do you want to do?" So I hasten to add, right now, we've entered a period now where we're no longer referring to music with the title here. We would have to give it a different title, because the name of the song, the Rover, is recognized as a slur, and we no longer use it. But we didn't know that back then, sadly. And this is just one of those chestnuts of traditional Irish, drinking songs and ballads. And I'd been doing it basically in a coma for years. And they said, "Okay, we're going to attack this." And so we got in the studio and just came up with as many irresponsible, bad noises: too loud, too fast, too hard. Don't care what the lyrics actually convey. Just blast.
Let's listen to that right now. Gypsy Rover from Boiled and Led's Hotheads record in 1987, and then the rest of the show with Todd and Drew from Boiled and Led. You're back with the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metsa. I've been so enjoying our conversation with a couple of the main guys that started Boiled and Led in 1983, Mr. Todd Menton on guitar and bassman Drew Miller. Tell us a little bit about this record and what kind of performances scene do you see in the future for the band?
Go, Drew.
Well, the future is unwritten. We'll just see what happens in terms of what, we'd love to go play lots of places, but honestly, this band is kind of weird. It's always been kind of weird, but especially in 2026, it's, I've been doing the digital audio stuff and trying to figure out what the metadata should be for each of these tracks is kind of crazy. My digital distributor said, "Well, there's no slot for Serbian in terms of the language." I said,
"Right,
put one in." So the band's and an interview that I did yesterday said this really sounds, with a super fan DJ on the East Coast. He said, "This really sounds like a Boiled and Led. How do you do it with so many different people?" It's like, well, we work with the strengths of everyone who joins it. Now the band has far more vocal possibilities, because not only Haley sings, but also Morris is a great singer.
He's a great singer.
One of his other bands is called Retro Fizz. They do a lot of Burt Bacharach and early 60s kind of elevator pop. Cool. So everybody brings their own talents and history and experience and the desire to jump off a cliff into this band, and we figure it out and see what comes out.
Todd, my band Cats from the Stars, we just celebrated our 50th when Drew said, we've been playing for 5 years. I go, you're merely pups. But tell us, I know what it feels like because I'm playing with the same guys I was playing with in 1973, 74, 75. And, but tell us, Todd, because you're one of the best guitar players in town, what it feels like to have the connection with Drew in this 43-year connection.
Being in a band yourself, Paul, you'll understand when I say that the best stuff comes from the weird tensions and frictions that happen when two different styles try to combine, where two different approaches try to combine, and because something else happens then. It's not strictly me or strictly Drew. It's not. It's greater than the sum of its parts. It becomes a different kind of part. You'll agree that there's Cats Under the Stars. Then there's all the various folks who play, and it's
right.
It's a kind of it synthesizes into something else. And yes, we did have a synthesizer in the band for about about 6 or 8 months at the beginning, and then we dumped it. But
hey, the theremin's going to make the gig again.
There's a theremin, right? Yeah,
bring the theremin back.
And there's you figure out ways to bounce off each other that wouldn't have occurred to you if you're just sitting playing on your own. Like with my original songs. I guess, I don't write that many songs, but there's a noticeable difference between the songs I write that I can envision being a Boiled and Led song. Then there's songs I write categorically for the group. It's its own universe, and you have to kind of play into that universe.
And it's the sum of its. The players are great, the sum of the parts, that old saying.
Yeah.
True, we got 1 minute left. We just lost a great percussionist in town, Robin Ander. He played with Boiled and Led for years. Tell us about, it's under 1 minute. Tell us how cool Robin was in the song. We're going to hear Canovo Oro.
Well, Robin lived for his solos. Robin also is the only drummer that I've ever seen tell everybody to hold in the middle of a set. Hold on while I tune up. So big ears, big talent, but he said, I play cymbals more than drums. Right. But in the studio he would take every single drum he had and multi-track layer them into a solo. And he'd also give them all different names depending on the ethnicity of the piece we were playing. So this one is from our album Orb. It's a Macedonian piece called Canovo Oro. What time signature is it, Todd?
7/8.
So Bulgarian, Eastern European dance music works a lot in the 7s and the 11s and the 13s. And we've even got one in 15 on this new record. So being able to play that music is something that Dave Stenchel brought to the band. But we continue, and it's loads of fun.
Thank you so much for the conversation tonight. Don't forget Parkway Theater next week on the 21st. They're doing Boiled and Led is doing their album release party for King of the Dogwoods. Have a great show. It was good seeing you guys.
Thanks very much, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Another 43 more years. Thanks for listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. The show was produced by Paul Metsa, engineered by Patrick Lilia. We'd like to thank our guests, Todd Menton and Drew Miller from Oil and Lead. Go see them on the 21st of this month at the Parkway Theater. Their new record, King of the Dogwoods. I've got big news. I am putting my record, Songs of Resistance and Resolve, songs I've written from 1984 to 2025 with a social relevance, up for free for streaming and downloads. If you want to make a donation to the gods, let me keep my good work going, you're more than welcome to. Just go find that at paulmetsa.com. And like my father used to tell me, remember to be kind and make someone happy.